For those that are just joining and for those that did not get to hear either Maple's introduction or my first attempt at an introduction, my name is Karibu Bampampu. Everyone calls me KB, so please feel free to call me KB. I'm first and foremost a mother, and then I'm a lecturer, or like I like to say, I'm a transferer of knowledge, and then I'm a researcher and an entrepreneur. And today we will be speaking about developing micro habits, which is something that I've had to learn in my life and which is something I think is very useful to all of us. In deciding to teach or in deciding to talk about developing micro habits, I listened to what was spoken to us last week, Saturday, by Etinosa. Yes, so when he spoke about having a money flow or a cash flow as opposed to a money pool, it occurred to me that literally what was being spoken about here was micro habits. So micro habits allow you to have a cash flow as opposed to a cash pool. But the beautiful thing is micro habits can be used in every aspect of your life. So for us to understand what micro habits are, we first of all need to understand what a habit is. And if I said to you, what's a habit, or give me an example of a habit, most likely you would say to me that things like biting your finger or surfing the internet or going on Facebook is a habit. But what makes it a habit? Because we understand what habits are, but why are they habits? So literally, a habit is an unconscious action that is almost automated. It's literally an automated unconscious action. So biting your fingernails, for example, it is an unconscious action that you perform. And it's automated. A lot of times, you don't even realize you're biting your fingers. You just, turn to yourself and go, oh my, or someone says to you, oh, you've got your fingers in your mouth, and that's only when it occurs to you that you are actually biting your fingers, because it's automated and it's an unconscious action. But you see, it's the same thing when you think about Facebook and when you think about how your interaction with Facebook occurs. So with Facebook, most likely you just find yourself having a need at certain times of the day to go on Facebook and see what's going on. And whether you're an active participant or you're a voyager, which is someone who just looks but doesn't say anything, irrespective of which category you fall into, you find yourself scrolling. Sometimes you don't even want to go on Facebook, but a notification pops up on your phone, and the notification sends you to Facebook because it would say something like, here's a suggested post, or KB updated her profile picture or something like that, and that becomes the prompt that causes you to go on Facebook and spend time scrolling. So in both instances, we've got an unconscious action which is automated. So we just automatically do it. Now, this can be good and this can be bad. But how do we use it for our own purpose? Because the habit by itself is just a habit. It is what we do with it that makes the difference. So we get to decide the direction the habit goes or what becomes of the habit. Now, that is where micro habits come into play. Micro habits are basically small habits. The key thing about micro habits is that they are small and they are easy. If we come back to what a habit is, and if we try to break down the habit to understand what makes up this habit, we see that there are three particular things, or there are three distinct things that we find within a habit. First off, we find a trigger. There is a trigger that causes you to perform an action. The action is the routine. And then the performance of that routine provides a reward. So let's look at the case of biting your fingernails. There is an action, there's a trigger that causes you to bite your fingernails. For quite a number of people, they bite their fingernails when they feel anxious, when they are afraid, or when they are worried, or when there's an issue they are facing, or when they're in deep thoughts. So they start thinking, or they are anxious. That's the trigger. And then the automatic response to that anxiety is to bite the nails. And what happens? What's the reward they get? They feel a bit relieved. or they can start thinking better. So you hear people, when you say to someone, oh no, why do you bite your fingernails? You need to stop biting your fingernails. And they say to you, it helps me to think. So it's the easing of the anxiety that then becomes the reward they receive. Now, if we turn to our use of Facebook, which is the second example I gave, what happens here is you get a notification which says KB is online, or KB is live, or KB updated her profile picture, and you want to see. So that's the trigger. That's the trigger that says to you, go on Facebook and scroll. You go on Facebook and you scroll and you see all of the pictures. So you start off looking at KB's picture, or you start off listening to KB's live, and then you're intrigued. And then you realize, oh, there's more notifications coming up, or there are more pictures because you're scrolling. And for that particular moment, you feel a reward. The reward you feel is the knowledge that you've learned something new. Well, literally, most times you don't really learn something new, but it's just the joy of, you know, being a voyager. There's just something really sweet about, you know, looking in at other people's lives. So that's the, you know, the reward you get for that. But how do we then utilize these things, and how do we then use them to lead us in a particular direction? Because in itself, it's not bad. So that's where it comes in. So if we break these habits and we create a habit, a small habit, and that's the key. It is so small. It is so small and easy. Those are two things. It has to be small. It has to be easy. The goal is, or the mindset behind it is, it's so small and so easy to do that you cannot fail to do it. So let's take an instance. I want to study. I'm studying for an exam. Now, I've got, let's say, 1,000 pages that I need to study for this particular certification exam. And I need to write the exam in a month. 1,000 pages seems like a lot of things to study, you know, and let's assume that this 1,000 pages is broken down into 10 chapters. 10 chapters, 1,000 pages, 1 month. It seems like a lot of things that I need to cover. But if I take that and I break it down and I say, all I need to get through in 1 week is, for example, 2 chapters. And all I need to get through today, so 1 week, 2 chapters, and assuming that each chapter is 10 pages or 50 pages, all I need to get through right now in the first hour, or today, I have a goal today, and my goal today is to cover 20 pages. So I've got to cover 20 pages today, and I'm going to now break down those 20 pages, and I'm going to tell myself, all I need to do for the next 1 hour is cover 1 page. All I need to do is read 1 page. So it may not seem, at first, when I start out, reading that 1 page may seem like a lot that I need to do. Concentrating and going through it may seem like a lot. So I set a routine, I set a trigger. Your trigger can be a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you what I've done, what I do myself. So, and the example I'm using is a realistic example. I've got an exam I need to write. I've got certain things I need to study for. So what did I do to achieve this goal? What I did to achieve this goal is I set an alarm on my phone. And I tell myself that when this alarm rings, irrespective of what I'm doing, I'll drop everything. And for 30 minutes or for an hour, it starts off with 30 minutes because you need it to be so small that you can't actually fail. So literally 30 minutes sometimes may even be a bit big, because you could try 30 minutes and it doesn't work. So I started off with an hour, it didn't work, so I broke it down to 30 minutes. That didn't work, so I broke it down to 10 minutes. And then I said to myself, all I need to do for 30 minutes is just read 1 page. I just need to read 1 page for 30 minutes. And whether or not I understand what I'm reading, I'm just going to read that 1 page for that 30 minutes. At the end of the 30 minutes, I'll move on to something else. And then tomorrow, when that alarm goes off at this time, I'm going to open up again and I'm going to read that 1 page again and see where I go to from there. Now, on the days where I can't read the 1 page, where I'm so tired that reading that 1 page is a lot of work, I tell myself, on those days, what's going to count as a victory is that I woke up or that I got in front of my computer. But I give myself, the trigger is the alarm ringing. That's the trigger for me. The alarm rings, I know I need to get up. The routine is I get up, I get out of bed, I come in front of my computer, I open up my book or the site, and I start to read. All I need to do is one page. On the day I can't get to my laptop, success for me on that day is just waking up. Sometimes I go beyond just waking up and I say, okay, fine, I've woken up, I've gotten in front of my computer, but I can't keep my eyes open long enough to read. So that for me counts as success. Now, the reward in it, so that's the routine I've created. I've created a routine that every time my phone rings at this particular time of the day, I know that this is what it means. Then I create the second one, which is the routine. And I say to myself, when that trigger goes off, which is the ringing of the alarm, I will get out of bed. I will come and I will sit in front of my computer. And when I sit in front of my computer, I would attempt to study. So that is the routine that I have created. The reward then becomes that I can say to myself that I achieved what I planned to do. So whether on the days where it's so bad that I can't read, at least I got out of bed. I've achieved something. On the days where I can do beyond getting out of bed, I get out of bed, I sit in front of my laptop, that's a success. On the days where I can go all the way, I go all the way, that's a success. But the bottom line is, I am consistently doing this. Now, depending on who you listen to, you would be told that it takes 21 days to form a habit. Others say it takes 85 days. Here's the thing. The bottom line is when you do this consistently, when you pick a goal, when you pick what you want to achieve, and you decide this is what I want to achieve, I've broken it down into small processes, into small things that need to be done. I've picked the one thing I need to do. I've created a trigger that allows me to know that it's time to perform an action. And then I perform the action. And then the reward for performing the action. And look, sometimes just saying to yourself that I've done it may not be enough of a reward. Sometimes the reward is maybe you tell yourself, I'm going to give myself a treat. If I consistently read one page over 7 days, which is a week, then I'm going to give myself the reward and say, I'm taking myself out for dinner. That could be the reward for you. It's up to you. But the point is, when you consistently do that, over time, waking up to study at a particular time becomes a habit. Over time, you don't even need the stimulation, or you don't even need the alarm to go off. Your body automatically wakes up at a certain time and does what it needs to do, because you have taken a micro habit and you have consistently performed it until it becomes an unconscious automatic action that is leading you towards your goal, which at the end of the day is what a habit is. And this can be done in anything. You can put micro habits to work in your finances. You can put it to work in your studies. You can put it to work in your business. You can even put it to work, with how you serve your clients. You can set a trigger to say, when a client walks in, this is what I will do. There is a routine. These are the steps that need to be performed. So the trigger becomes, I get a client call or a client comes into the shop. When the client comes into the shop, these are the procedures I've set in place that I'm going to perform. The reward is my client leaves my shop happy. So it doesn't matter. Even with your kids, you could set up that. If you're a parent, you could set up, those little habits. You could start. It starts with the littlest thing. And for each or every one of us, what is small is different. Our metrics vary. So what I may consider to be small or what I may consider to be easy will be different from what the next person will consider to be small or to be easy. But the bottom line is that for each person, we determine what is small, what is easy, what we can do, and we attach a routine to it, and then we attach a reward as well to it. And what I've learned, and this is from personal experience, is that developing micro habits removes the pressure of needing to be motivated in order to perform an action. So I'm not studying because I feel motivated to study. I'm studying because the alarm has rung and there are these processes that must take place. So it's not a question of, I'm in the mood today, so I'm going to do it, or I'm not in the mood, so I'm not going to do it. My mood goes out the window. My motivation goes out the window. How I feel goes out the window. What matters is I've got this goal, I've broken it down into small bits and pieces, and I'm working, I'm developing the habits that lead me towards that goal. And the minute you start it with one aspect of your life, over time, it has a rippling effect, which is you tend to see that maybe you started off because you just want to read. And now from just reading, you have the motivation. Here's the word, motivation comes with time. It's not automatic, and every day you don't have motivation every day, so you can't depend on motivation. But over time, you realize that the joy you feel from being successful at the one thing you started the micro habits with, that joy spills over and gives you the strength or the reason to apply this micro habits in another aspect of your life. So when I started out, I just wanted to be able to study. Like, I just wanted to read. It didn't matter what I was reading. I just wanted to develop a habit of reading because I grew up loving reading and I wasn't reading anymore. So I just wanted to read. But finding the time to read was almost impossible for me. So what did I do? I got an audio reader, and then I told myself in the morning when I wake up at this time, this is what I'll do. I'll play the audio reader. And I promise you, it took me less than a month. It literally took me 2 weeks to finish 7 books. And I then realized that, oh my word, I can actually do this. So I could actually multitask. So the next thing I decided to do was I decided I was going to exercise while I read. I don't have to stand still to read. So I wake up and I tell myself, okay, fine. What's the best time I'm going to get this done? I'll wake up at 4. So I wake up at 4 and I'm like, okay, I'm awake. It's 4. What am I going to do? I'm going to get out of bed. I don't feel like getting out of bed every day, but getting out of bed is my first micro habit. So my alarm goes off. I get my body out of bed. I'm out of bed, like out of bed. And then I tell myself, wear your shoes. So I wear my exercising shoes, and I make sure I have my exercising clothes nearby. I wear my exercising clothes. So I've gone from getting out of bed, I've gotten the clothes on, and I'm like, okay, leave the room, go to the lounge. We've moved. We go to the lounge, and then I put on my exercise video. It's playing. At the same time, I'm playing the audiobook I want to read for the day. It's playing, and I'm exercising. And I tell myself, look, KB, all you need to do is 30 minutes of exercise. So we do 30 minutes. The days I can't do 30 minutes, 5 minutes is good enough. The days I can't even exercise, okay, let me just listen to the book. That's good enough. The days I can't even get out of bed, like I can't even get out of my room, getting up is good enough. So it's those little steps, but the bottom line is you don't give up, because that's the other thing. You don't give up the first time, and you create those ripples, you create those staggerings, so that if you don't get the main goal, you still have that other one. So you see, your micro habits is this one big habit, which you then break into those smaller habits. That's why it must be small, it must be easy, it must be achievable. So I can't do any of those things, but at least I got out of bed. At least, okay, fine, I can't get out of bed, but at least when the alarm rang, I pressed the snooze button. So you literally just have to, find what works. But the bottom line is consistency over time. You find out that the habit gets developed, and over time, you find out that you achieve the goal you want to achieve. And yes. Any questions? I think I am all talked out. Any questions? Any comments? Anything you want to share? Maple?
Yeah, KB, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. So I think this is a really good one because it's something I started practicing like for about 3 years now, but I didn't know this is what it's called. Yes, I realized that whenever I set out to do things before now, I need a lot of motivation, and then after starting it, I'm not able to sustain the whole motivation, the whole tempo. So I just keep struggling over and over and over, you know. So I pretty much just remember something someone said in a seminar I attended many years ago, and said, "How do you eat an elephant?" You know, if you want to eat an elephant, you know, with so much excitement and motivation to say, "Oh wow, I killed an elephant today! I will devour this elephant." The truth of the story is that it's just a matter of few minutes, and you'll be overwhelmed. You know, so you said he said that if you're going to eat an elephant, then you have to learn to cut that elephant into very small bits, and then eat it gradually over time. You know, so what I get from what you're saying is, you know, it has to be some sort of like something that becomes like a lifestyle. So nobody's really dragging you, nobody's pushing you. You know, it just becomes like a lifestyle. Okay. So last year I stopped taking every form of carbonated drinks. And then I told myself that, you know, I tried to do these, you know, traditional savings where I just have some sort of container at home and then I put little change into it over time. And I've never in my entire life been able to keep up with that thing. Okay, so last year I said, okay, whenever I feel like I want to drink Coke, I'm going to just assume that I'm drinking the Coke. And so I buy the, I take the money and I put it into that stuff, you know, and I've done it, you know, I told myself that, you know, for me, the reward I placed was I'm going to use the money that I'm supposed to have spent on Coke and Fanta and all of that. I'm going to spend that money to buy sportswear, you know, so I'm going to get myself a new trainers. I'm going to get myself, you know, the gear that I need, and then also subscribe to a gym with that money. And I opened it just, you know, I've done it for about 7-8 months now, and I opened it yesterday, and I have over 60,000 naira inside, which is enough for this thing. And I did not feel it, you know, because I told myself, see, if it's 200 naira that I have to put inside, I will put my 200 naira inside. If it's 500 naira that I have, if it's 100 naira, you know, that tax of I must save 5,000 naira daily is going to send me to my early grave. So this is, yeah.
And Maple, and the days you don't have any monies, it's just okay. It's not a big deal.
Exactly.
And if at the beginning or if at some point you're unable to resist the urge to take one carbonated drink, it's one drink. You don't kill yourself over one mishap or one setback. You did it, you forgive yourself, but the next day the habit kicks in and you do what it is that you're supposed to do.
Thank you. Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. I never thought of it in this light, because from that's how I think about this thing, you know. Something that we want to stop doing, you know, it's difficult to just suddenly just cut it off just like that. Yesterday I was taking milk. I stopped taking milk last year, about 8 months ago. So yesterday I was taking milk, and then my colleague at the office said to me, "I thought you don't take milk." And I said, I really feel like I want to take it, and I just want to indulge. I mean, I've gone how many months without taking it? And it doesn't mean that because I took it that yesterday, I'm not going to start taking it every other day.
Exactly.
So for me, it was some sort of like a bus stop. It was just sort of like a bus stop, and then I continue the journey again.
I agree with you, Omolola. We shared the savings. Omolola said we're sharing your savings with you. I agree 100%. We're sharing. I want some.
Now let me share something with you in line with what Etiosa shared last week. Even though he didn't go into it, he doesn't share this publicly, but I'm still appealing to him and lobbying him to come to that point. Now, I missed out on my investment plans. You know, my investment plan is, you know, pretty much to become a co-owner in companies that have been established and that have proved themselves over the years. Now, my mindset is I wish to put in big monies like 1 million, 2 million. So, you know, I feel good with it, and the reward is going to also be massive and all of that. But I realized that I'm not consistent with that, because that money doesn't come that way. And Etiosa keeps telling me that, see, Maple, if it's 10,000 naira, put it there. You know, this thing doesn't limit how much you can put. You can put even as little as 5K. You know, what matters, you know, just put it there. And then the time that you miss it, you know, just like what you said, you know, you forgive yourself. But you know that if I have been doing that, honestly, I would have gone very far with those little inputs instead of waiting for the huge one. Now, my grandfather is still the richest man in my family. And when I think about it, it humbles me, it makes me even feel ashamed. But I just say, you know what, I'm learning. My grandfather did the same thing you're just teaching now. You know, which those of us who have gone to big schools and all of that still don't get. My grandfather is the richest man in my family. How did he become that? He became a co-owner of Nigerian breweries, actually a major co-owner, a major shareholder in Nigerian breweries. He was working in a bank called African Continental Bank, ACB, defunct now. And in the course of his work, he was a gate man. He was a gate man. He was like a security guard. That's why it's actually been humbling, because people keep saying, I need to earn more, I need to earn more.
Exactly.
You know, so he had conversations with his managers and they shared information with him and all of that. And he started with his what do you call it, security guard salary, the same salary that everybody else will say it's not enough. He started with it and he was just putting it in trickles. You know, the day I came across his share certificates and all of that, I was amazed at how did this man achieve this kind of thing. It was just something he was doing gradually over time. And I've read a lot of similar stories. One of the female billionaires in Nigeria is a lecturer at Lagos Business School. I was amazed when I read her story. From when she started working, she has been doing it gradually, and it has compounded to what it is now. And people keep saying things like, you can't be a billionaire as an employee, all kinds of. I think we allow too much narratives out there influence us. Sorry, I've talked too much.
You know, no, you're not. You're hitting the nail at the right spot, because you brought something out which is compounding. That's what micro habits do. They compound. You're compounding on a thing until it's automatic. And it's it brings us back to what Etinosa was talking about last week, which is, you see, when you manage the cash flow properly, it turns into a cash pool. But you don't start off with a cash pool.
Okay.
You start off with the flow. You start off with the little, and that little becomes a lot.
Yeah.
So it's exactly what you're saying. And the other thing is, when we think about micro habits, or when we think about habit forming, we think about habit forming strictly from a point of view of trying to break bad habits. But you see, as a lecturer, my students design applications. They design web applications, mobile applications, and all of that. And as a security researcher, I then try to break what has been designed. But here's the thing, that's not where I'm going to with the conversation. Where I'm going to with the conversation is this. I tell my students that in designing your application, you need to design habit-forming applications. Because if you think about habits as a whole, the habit is not the power. The habit is a tool. It's a technique. What you make of it is where the power lies. So we need to, again, it comes back to what you just said now, which is changing of perspective. For micro habits to work for us, we need to change the perspective. We need to go from, I'm trying to break a habit, to being conscious of the fact that we are trying to form a habit. And it's in anything. I say to people, when you run a business, you need to set up a system. But you see, in setting up the system, you're actually deciding what the micro habits will be of your business. And then you are waking up every day and inculcating those micro habits that then turns into the culture of your business. Because that's the reason why someone will wake up and say, oh, you always study at 4 o'clock. No. Today, you see me always studying at 4, but that's because I had a goal a year ago, and then based on that goal, I set micro habits in motion, And now, 1 year later, you use the word always as though it's a part of me, as though it's an unconscious, automated part of me, which it is, but that's because there was a decision to meet my goals by setting micro habits. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I do. I do. You're just making me remember something. I'm learning French and Spanish presently. And I just realized that the app I'm using, Duolingo, has this ability you're talking about. This
habit forming apps.
I'm telling you. So it makes me want to come back to it.
Exactly. The trigger. It's called a trigger. The trigger. What is the trigger? You have to know the trigger.
Yeah, and guess what? It allows me to do it at my own pace. So it says I can choose 5 minutes a day. I could choose 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. Wow.
Awesome. Awesome. Beautiful book you're reading, Omolola, Atomic Habits. I believe I actually have read that as well. Yes, it is a beautiful book to read, and yes, you are being set up for success. I agree 100%.
Wow.
Maple.
Yeah. So, yeah, I believe this is the habit that defines life. Absolutely, Omolola. Omolola said something that I think it's quite instructive. She said, life keeps asking us to do big things, but doing it small makes us the person capable of doing bigger things. I mean, there's so much in that statement.
Can I say something about that statement?
Yes, please.
How do you, okay, I don't know about you, so I'm going to ask the question and then I'm going to try to answer the question myself. And I just need to say very quickly, Maple, I know that we've had a lot of technical challenges today, but I just hope, because you know I love talking, so please rein me in if I need to be reined in terms of time and all of that.
That's fine.
So coming back to what you just said, what Omolola said, I just want to add to that. So if I have a job that needs doing, so let's say, for example, I'm building a house and I'm looking for who's going to build the house, I will go look for a person who has the expertise, and I would judge the person's expertise by what the person has done.
Yes.
So I don't wait for the person to tell me an elaborate story of what they think they can do. I want to see what they actually have done, because that tells me what I need to know with regards to what they will be able to do. So if we come back to what Omolola said, when you take this, when you do this little thing, this small thing, and you achieve it and you succeed at it, there's a message your brain is getting told. Your brain is being told you're a success. You're good at this. You've got this. You've done this. This was great. So when the next challenge comes, your brain has a referral point for it to go to and say, but you know, we smashed that. We got that. We did that. So if we got A done properly, we have the methodology required to do B. So over time, you are, and this is excluding any external motivation or any external praise you need, but over time, you are telling yourself that you are capable of more because you have a track record of that little thing you've done and succeeded at doing. So that's what you build up. So that's how you become the person capable of doing bigger things, because you did that small thing and you succeeded at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, KB. Looks like we would have to draw the curtain here. And in closing, thank you, by the way, Omolola, for also joining. Others also joined, but I'm sure they have activities here and there, so they were jumping in and out. But the nature of what we're trying to do here is that in the course of the day, in the course of the week, you can still come back and watch the video for yourself. Yeah, so 2 years ago, 2019 precisely, I hosted a TEDx salon, and the focus was routines. You know, what we established with that event was that, you know, routines are quite boring. You know, routines are quite boring. You know, and it's more or less like the roots of a tree growing into the ground. Nobody sees it and admires it. Nobody sees the root of a tree and feels excited, you know, and feels motivated and all of that. It happens quietly. I think that's what micro habits do for us. You know, it helps us to grow our roots deep into the soil quietly. So when that moment comes, you know, for us to blossom and bloom and all of that, people actually don't understand what happened. But over the years, you know, we've been able to now establish those habits that serve as roots to hold us firmly, you know, there in the ground. So things like impulse buying, you know, and all of that, you know, becomes a lot. Man, this is amazing. This is amazing. I have a lot to ponder over in the course of the weekend. It's why I say that KB is very brilliant. Thank you so much, KB. I'm going to let you more or less like just share closing thoughts so we can draw the curtain here.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you very much for having me, Maple, and also for thinking about this initiative. It's a beautiful one, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. And I'm looking forward to sharing and learning as well over the course of time. Thank you to everyone who joined, especially Omolola. I found your contribution very insightful and helpful. Thank you very much for making it fun. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone who joined. And I look forward to seeing you at the next presentation I give. But until I give the next presentation, I look forward to hearing from you, both on the group. And if you do want to talk to me, I look forward to receiving DMs from you. But until such a time as when we speak again, please have a beautiful weekend, a wonderful week, and be as productive as possible. Remember, be kind to yourself because no one else can be as kind to you as you can. Thank you very much, Maple. Omolola, I'm open to being your friend. I'm open to being your friend.
The connections are happening already, so please, the friendship request should be sent and let that connection kick off. Thank you so much, Omolola. I think Omolola, you've closed this presentation. Yeah. I'm going to end this chat with your statement. See your small as a success tool. Amazing. See your small as a success tool. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Omolola, for helping us round up this very presentation. And thank you once again, KB, and everyone, including those who get to watch later. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.